And this is Sonara.
And this is Madeleine.
And we're going to be reading the County Press for Friday the 13th of September 2019. But first, there is Sight for Wight news. On Tuesday 17th of September, the swimming group are swimming at the waterside pool in Ryde from 8 p.m. till 8:45 p.m. The pool is closed to the public while the group swims. There are male and female volunteers to help you get in and out of the pool, as well as lifeguards to ensure your safety. To join the swimming group, please call Sight for Wight first to notify us of your swimming ability. You need to register with the office at Millbrook House first to be able to swim with the group.
On Wednesday the 18th of September, the weekly coffee morning will be held at Millbrook House, this week from 10:30 a.m. There will also be our low vision drop-in between 10 a.m. and 12 noon. This is a weekly event to allow you to view and try the low vision equipment we have at the Society without the need for an appointment. We will be swimming at the special care session held at West Wight Sports Centre in Freshwater. The session runs from 12 noon till 1 p.m. The cost to swim is £4.20. Minibus transport may be available depending on location and costs £2. If you are interested in joining the group, then we will need to ask some questions about your swimming ability, general health and mobility, and next of kin details. Numbers are restricted for this session, so please register your interest early.
On Thursday the 19th of September, a group of members will be sailing on the Spirit of Scott Bader today. There is one space available if anyone would like to join them. The cost is £27 for the day. For further details, please contact Laura on 522205 by the end of the day on Tuesday 17th of September. The Thursday social group are meeting at Millbrook House. This group meets from 10:30 a.m. till 2 p.m. With the help of a volunteer, the group enjoy a number of activities: crosswords, catching up on news and trivia, knitting and crochet. They're currently making pom-poms to make into a blanket. This very friendly mixed group also love to chat and enjoy lunch together. Later in the afternoon, volunteers come in and read to the group on different topics. If you'd like to join the group, then please contact the charity on 522205. And any other news? Day sailing on the Spirit of Scott Bader. Due to a cancellation, there is now one space available on this activity on Thursday, September 19th. The cost is £27. And if you're interested in joining this activity, please contact Laura on 522205 by end of day, Tuesday 17th of September.
The 2020 diaries and calendars. It's time to order your VIP diaries and calendars. Please note that the suppliers of VIP diaries have now imposed a minimum number for orders that we place on your behalf. Therefore, we will place orders on the following dates: the 21st of October, the 11th of November, the 25th of November, and then a final order on Wednesday the 3rd of December. Any orders after this date will need to be made directly by members to the diary company. Prices are as follows: Pocket Diary A6 with cover, week to a view, £5.75. Pocket Diary A6, insert only, week to a view, £5.30. MIDI Diary A5, week to a view, £7.65. Jumbo Diary A4, week to a view, 2 days per page, £21. Desk diary A4, week to a view, £9.45. Wall hanging calendar A3, £6.25. Wall hanging date reminder, £5.75. To place your order, please contact Laura Jasper at members@iwsb.org.uk or phone 52205. A possible new audiobook group. Alistair has run the Freshwater Library audio book group for many years and is now looking to start a new one at Sandown Library. If you would be interested in joining the group, please contact Sandown Library on 402 748 with your name and contact details, and they will pass on your details to Alistair. Days and times to be arranged once we have an idea of interest. Please note that this group is not run by Sight for Wight. We are just advertising on Alistair's behalf.
Sight for Wight has the following donated second-hand items for sale. All items are in working order and are sold as seen. RNIB Penfriend version 1 with instructions and labels, £25. Cobalt Speechmaster Talking Microwave 2016 model in good used condition at £80. Daylight standing floor lamp on wheels, so it's able to move around, good used condition at £20. Enhanced Vision Smart Reader with control handset, good used condition at £300. If you would like to view or purchase any of these items, please contact Laura Jasper at members@iwsb.org.uk or phone the charity on 522205. Raffle tickets are now available for our annual raffle, which will be drawn on the 31st of October. The tickets are £1 each and come in a book of 5 tickets. Please contact Sight for Wight on 522205 or email enquiries@iwsb.org.uk if you would like to purchase tickets. And visit to Osborne House. Join us for a visit to Osborne House on Monday, 7th of October. Start time is 10:30 a.m. for approximately 4 to 5 hours. There is an outdoor picnic area, depending on the weather, if you would like to bring a packed lunch. The self-service cafe sells light snacks, and the Gazelle House Cake Shop at Swiss Cottage serves a small selection of snacks and cold drinks. Cost for an adult is £18.50 and £16.70 for a senior citizen. Minibus transport may be available depending on location and will cost £2. Closing date for applications is Friday the 20th of September. For further details or to book your place, please contact Laura Jasper on 522205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk.
Visit to the Isle of Wight Distillery on Monday the 11th of November. Meet first at 10:30 a.m. at the Old Barracks Tea Room in Putpool Park, Ryde, followed by a talk and tasting at 12 noon for approximately 45 minutes to 1 hour at the Isle of Wight Distillery, Pondwell, Ryde. No charge for the talk or tasting. Minibus transport may be available depending on location and will cost £2. Closing date for applications is Friday the 25th of October. For further details or to book your place, please contact Laura Jasper on 522205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk. Murder Mystery Night. Join us for an evening of murder and mystery at Millbrook House on Thursday the 31st of October at 6:30 p.m. Ticket price is £10, which includes a simple 2-course supper, glass of wine, coffee and mince. We will also be drawing our annual summer raffle, so there's still a chance to buy a ticket and be in with a chance of winning some great prizes, including a first prize of £100 cash. Parking is available via Castle Road on PO 301DT. For booking inquiries, please contact Site for Wight on 52205 or email fundraising@iwsb.org.uk. The Short Story Writing Competition 2019. Yes, it's back. This year's theme is The Sound of Christmas. Entry forms are available from Waterstones Newport or downloadable from our website www.iwsb.org.uk. This year's celebrity readers are Edana Minghella, Kate Weston, Melvin Hayes and, new to this year's lineup, Michael Maloney, a versatile actor from film, television and audio dramas. We hope that you will support our competition and look forward to your entries. The closing date is Friday, the 8th of November. If you would like further information, then please contact Chris on 52205 or email fundraising@iwsb.org.uk. And finally, this week's In Touch. 2 visually impaired opera singers tell us their stories. New Zealander Joanne Roughton Arnold chose singing opera over playing the violin. Alan Pingaron from Mexico is taking part in a Royal Opera House training program. The presenter is Peter Wight, the producer is Lee Kumatat, and the reporter is Toby Davey.
And now the actual items from the county press, and the headlines are I'll Never Give Up and Tender Goodbye from Butchers. I'll Never Give Up. The mother of missing Damien Nettles writes a book about her enduring heartbreak. The heartbreaking true story of every mother's worst nightmare has been published in a new book by Valerie Nettles nearly 23 years after the mysterious and unsolved disappearance of her son Damien. The boy who disappeared tells of the trauma Valerie and her family have lived through every day since Damien disappeared in Cowes in November 1996 at the age of 16. Last summer, Damien's disappearance was logged as a cold case, and despite theories, arrests and searches, no trace of the teenager has ever been found. Valerie, 57, said she feared the story had slipped into urban myth, but said she would never give up trying to find out the truth about what had happened to her son. She said she had been writing the book since the early days. It goes back to the very beginning of when Damien went missing. My coping skill was to write down everything, to get it out of my head. I had lots of pieces of paper with everything written down on, so the book was just a case of compiling it. Writing it has not given me any answers, but writing things down over the years has helped. I'm not a writer. It's just something I had the urge to do, to tell our true story, what happened to us, blow by blow. The experience of losing a son, how he waved goodbye and never came back. The dilemma of what to do next, how to get help, The desperation that started never really goes away, and learning to live with it. We're not giving up on Damien at all until there is some sort of finality, even if it is a bag of remains to identify. The book goes through the family's experience of the investigation, what they perceive as blunders made by the police, arrests made, and searches undertaken. All essentially proved fruitless, with Damien still missing, no body found, and no one held accountable. The family turned to a private investigator who is certain he knows what happened, and theories have circulated on the Isle of Wight for years. Valerie said, "It's difficult, as I've heard so much rumour and speculation. Just recently, someone told me in great detail that Damien was punched, fell to the ground and died, and was disposed of by being buried in marshland. They were very convinced, but no one has concrete facts behind the speculation. I fear it's gone into urban legend, and with China's whispers. I'm left wondering if it's true or just gossip. All the rumours come back to the same group. I wonder if any family and friends know something, but are too fearful to come forward. For us, things have not got better over the years. I've just learnt to live with it." Valerie, husband Ed, and their own other children, James, Sarah and Melissa, moved to Texas 18 years ago. She misses the Isle of Wight dreadfully, but Ed found work in the US, and the children are all now settled there with children of their own. The book is available from Amazon, Asda, WH Smith and Waterstones, and can be downloaded Kindle. Valerie has also launched a petition for a Damien's Law to improve how missing person cases are handled.
Tender goodbye from butchers. Well-known Newport butchers, Downers, has announced it will close this month. E.E. Downer on the corner of Lower St James Street and Crocker Street will close next Saturday. The butchers has become an island institution, and a long queue of people snaking down the road as they wait to collect their Christmas turkey has become a familiar sight over the years. Master butcher Greg Downer, 70, has run the family business since taking over from his parents in 1975. He said, "My legs have decided they've had enough, and so it is with great reluctance we will be closing for the last time later this month. I would like to thank all of the patrons for their custom and friendship during my 44 years at the helm, and also almost 60 behind the counter. We have built a wonderful rapport with the local community over the years." Steve Dove, 57, who has been Greg's butchery assistant for the past 15 years, expressed both gratitude and sadness regarding the closure. He said, "I'm going to miss this job. It has been a really happy time in my life. The friendships I have made are something I will always cherish. I would also like to thank WA Foods, who have supplied all our Isle of Wight sourced meat. The company, founded in 1935 by Greg's father Ted, has posted a closure notice in the window. Signed by Greg, his wife Yvonne and Steve, it says, "We would like to thank all of you for your custom and friendship over the last 84 years. You have made it a pleasure to come to work each day. Thank you for the fond memories, laughter and fun. We wish you all the best for the future."
Garden wheelies seized after renewal confusion. Disgruntled gardeners have had garden waste bins taken away by the Isle of Wight Council, blaming a lack of information about renewals. Around 600 subscribers to the Council's garden waste collection service have had or will have their bins removed as they did not renew their subscription. The Council sent reminders to people, but only if they had provided an email address. However, the council said renewal terms and conditions were made clear when people signed up to the service. It also advertised the renewals process online and through press releases and on social media. The collection service is currently at capacity with 7,000 subscribers, increased from 5,000 when it was launched. There are 650 properties on the waiting list for the popular service, so people will now have to wait until space becomes available. John Smith of the Strand Ride said he and his fellow flat residents did not receive a reminder. When our year ran out, we were told the scheme was oversubscribed and we would have to go on a waiting list to renew, he said. Another subscriber, Paul Dyer of Park Road Cows, said, "2 guys came up the drive and started taking the bin away. When my wife asked what they were doing, they said the renewal hadn't been paid. We never received a reminder, so we didn't realise it was due." A council spokesperson said, "Currently, 157 properties have been visited and 114 bins collected, as the others were not presented for collection. The collection of bins is an ongoing process. Residents who supplied an email address with their subscription were sent an email reminding them of the need to renew their subscriptions. The council advertised the renewals process from January online, through press releases, social media, and the terms and conditions on sign-up. This was to help ensure the opportunity to renew was taken up, despite the terms and conditions being clear that the responsibility to renew is with the customer. The council does recognise customers would prefer a rolling subscription or automatic renewal process, and we are working to deliver a solution to this for the next subscription year.
Council spends £1.9 million on agency social workers. The Isle of Wight Council has spent almost £1.9 million on social care agency staff this year, more than double last year's figure. Agency staff are paid almost £40 an hour, compared to an average of around £15 for permanent social workers. They are often used to cover maternity and sick leave, but some are used by the council to cover vacant full-time positions which prove difficult to fill. The council said the use of agency staff was a temporary solution to ensure it could deliver care and support services. 19 agency staff were working in social care for the council as of May the 20th, 2019, 12 in adult social care and 7 in children's services. Freedom of information requests revealed the total spent by the council on agency social workers during the 2018-19 financial year, £1,877,196, up from £772,549 in 2017-18. It included £1,396,625 on adult social work staff and £480,571 on children's social work staff. Recruitment for permanent positions has proved difficult for the council, and relocation packages are offered in some cases as an incentive. When relocation is offered for posts considered difficult to fill, staff can claim up to £8,000 worth of expenses. In 2017-18, 1 in 7 hours worked in social care were by agency staff. 17,387 agency staff hours and 98,979 permanent staff hours were worked. A third of the agency staff hours worked were to cover permanent staff vacancies rather than maternity or sick leave. On average, agency staff normally stayed in the service for 22 to 26 weeks. A council spokesperson said, "The recent increased reliance on support from agency workers has been necessary to enable the council's adult social care and housing needs department to ensure the care and support needs of those we serve are identified and met. Using agency support is a temporary solution while action is taken to provide more sustainable arrangements." Adult social care was spent considerably more in 2018-19 on social workers to support mental health services. In recent months, we have refreshed our recruitment campaigns and sought to attract permanent staff to existing vacancies. We have undertaken a full-service redesign to utilise resources to the best end and to mitigate the need for agency workers to be used. The offering of relocation packages is considered on a case-by-case basis as part of every recruitment decision.
Child sex offender groomed girlfriend. A child sex offender has been jailed after he misled his girlfriend about his past. Judge Susan Evans said she had no doubt Peter Raggett was grooming the woman and her 8-year-old granddaughter. Raggett, 56, who was already on the sex offenders register for life, appeared at the Isle of Wight Crown Court last Friday after admitting breaching a sexual offences preventive order he received in 2006 for child sexual offences. Prosecutor Christopher Stoper said, "In May, he started using the dating app Plenty of Fish, where he began talking to a lady from Sussex. She described him as very charming and a relationship bloomed, but Mr. Raggett had not used his real name." The court heard Raggett's new girlfriend had an 8-year-old granddaughter who would often be present during Raggett's visits. Mr. Stoper said, on 3 or 4 occasions he stopped over at her house while her granddaughter slept on a sofa bed downstairs. At the start of August, Mr. Raggett's new girlfriend brought her granddaughter to the island to visit him and take part in the Benbridge Fort Walk. A member of the public approached her and told her Mr. Raggett was a paedophile. She returned with her granddaughter to the hotel and then fled the island without speaking to him. The thought of her leaving her granddaughter alone with Mr. Raggett no doubt should fill one with an overwhelming sense of dread. Raggett of Whitcomb Road, Carisbrooke, made full admissions in an interview with the police after he was arrested on August the 4th. He told police he was working up to an appropriate point to tell her about his past convictions, but breached his order when he was briefly left alone with the granddaughter on a number of occasions. Graham Gilbert, defending Raggett, said, "This case paints a picture of quite a lonely man who is looking for companionship. They met as adults on an adult dating app. He wasn't on there seeking to meet children, and the time he spent alone with the granddaughter was, by all accounts, quite low." Raggett received a 16-month custodial sentence. Judge Evans said, "I have no doubt you were grooming both these people. The very first time you came across that child, you should have had no further contact with that woman. But you did."
Pro-Link chair meets Adonis. Lord Adonis, who called for a fixed link after visiting the island recently, has met with the chair of Pro-Link. He met Carl Feeney at Westminster to find out more about the group's efforts to seek funding for a study into the viability of a fixed link. Labour peer Lord Adonis, a former Transport Secretary, tweeted his consternation when his ferry journey was delayed an hour, and said he had not been asked to look into a fixed link while in power. Mr. Feeney, who is pushing for a Solent Freedom Tunnel, said, Lines of communication regarding cross-Solent transport issues have been ongoing with Lord Adonis since his visit to the island. He said Lord Adonis was astonished the Isle of Wight Council had not carried out a study. Mr Feeney said ProLink has been forced instead into public fundraising, while the Council and MP Bob Seeley are refusing to request local or central government payment sources. Sadly, even though Lord Adonis has assured help when possible, the meeting concluded with him unable to assist until the Council and MP request funding. This negligence by the MP and Council is thwarting island business leaders and others from donating to a study. The ferry companies are in control. Bob Seeley's cousin, Patrick Seeley, is a non-executive director of Red Funnel, and I am concerned about a potential conflict of interest. It is important there is transparency so the public can have trust in the process. The campaign to facilitate cross-Solent freedom will continue for as long as it takes, with whatever it takes. Quitting is not an option. Mr Seeley told the county press Patrick Seeley was his second cousin once removed, a distant relative. There is no evidence to suggest the MP has ever been influenced by a family member. Mr Seeley said he was working hard to deliver for the island. He said, I met the new Transport Secretary to discuss ferries recently. I am expecting a visit from a second Transport Minister soon to discuss trains, roads, ferries and cycle routes. I will continue to challenge the cross-Solent operators to improve their services for the good of islanders. I would welcome a study, but they need to find the money. There are very differing views on this issue, so I would suggest we also need an impact study to assess how such a physical connection would affect both the character of the island and its environment. Lord Adonis's comments showed he was sadly ill-informed. I am happy to meet him to explain island issues so he is less ill-informed. The Council previously said it supported a study, but taxpayers' money should not fund it.
3-year health plan unveiled. The Isle of Wight Council and NHS has unveiled a 3-year plan to improve health and care services, aimed at keeping people out of hospital and care homes by supporting them to live more independently at home. According to the Isle of Wight Health and Care Plan, published on Wednesday, more than £800,000 will be invested in community services. District nurses and therapists will be based at A&E to divert people away from unnecessary hospital admissions. NHS staff numbers increased and off-island travel kept to a minimum. It sets out plans for mental health services which will be redesigned to provide tailored support. Isle of Wight NHS Trust Chief Executive Maggie Oldham said the investment was good news for islanders. She said, "It shows we are serious about bringing health and social care services more closely together, looking after people closer to home and helping them to live healthy, independent lives. We know there is more to do, and we are committed to delivering the best possible services for our community." Council Chief Executive John Metcalfe said improvements in social care services meant the Council could work more closely with the health sector to ensure an individual's health and care needs are met seamlessly without the need for them to be concerned about who is providing their services. He said, "This plan gives us a clear framework for how we can develop services. The Council and NHS face significant financial challenges, and it is only by planning and delivering health and care in truly integrated ways that we will improve services and deliver value for money."
Police seek new recruits. A recruitment drive has been launched to increase the number of island police officers. Hampshire and Isle of Wight Chief Constable Olivia Pinkney has urged the next generation of officers to sign up. As a nationwide campaign to recruit 20,000 police officers gets underway, Hampshire Constabulary's most senior police officer highlighted the need to keep ahead of criminals by bringing in extra officers, new skills and greater diversity. The plans include extra training for detectives, in addition to the campaign to recruit more uniformed officers. Assistant Chief Constable Craig Dibden, who is leading the plans locally, said, "We have an opportunity to increase our police officer numbers in a way we did not think would be possible. This is great news for our communities. What we have to do is to make the most of this opportunity. We must get on with it, and what we are able to do immediately is to bring in extra detectives. We are expecting high demand, so I would encourage anyone interested to get in quickly, as the initial application window may not be open for very long. Later in the year, we will open up wider recruitment for uniformed officers. We haven't had the exact numbers confirmed by the Home Office, but we are clear our objective is not just to increase numbers. It is for us to use this opportunity to become ever more representative of the communities we serve, resilient and digitally savvy." Chancellor Sajid Javid announced £750 million would be made available to recruit 20,000 new police officers this year. Welcoming the announcement, MP Bob Seeley said, "As part of campaign for more resources for the island, I've been working to get more funding for the police. Thank you to Isle of Wight Police for their important work."
Celebrate rich history at Isle of Wight Day. Enjoy a family fun day at Carisbrooke Castle for just £1 per person to celebrate Isle of Wight Day. Carisbrooke Castle will be at the centre of this year's celebrations on Saturday, September 21st. From 10 a.m, entrance for island residents will be £1, with children under 5 going free. Islanders can celebrate Isle of Wight Day by immersing themselves in the castle's guided tours and rich history. There will be the chance to try human table football challenge, enjoy some giant games and bouncy castles, try a sport with the Island Games team, and get creative with the Scouts. There will be face painting, food and drink stalls, and more. While this year's Isle of Wight Day will centre around Carisbrooke Castle, once again, islanders are encouraged to take part in the big coastal clean-up, aiming to rid all 67 miles of the island's beaches of unwanted plastic waste. Sign up at isleofwightday.com. Nipper, the 7-foot-tall crab mascot, will be out and about on the beaches and at Carisbrooke Castle, along with some enchanted and historical characters. Robin Courage, Isle of Wight Day founder, said, "Isle of Wight Day was created as a day when the whole community could come together to celebrate everything that is great about our beautiful island. What better way to tell the world about this very special place than to come together to clean up our beaches and gather for some festivities? Other events will include the Bembridge Harbour Food Festival from noon. A Songs of Praise concert will feature the 70-strong Isle of Wight Symphony Orchestra and singers from the Medina Community Choir, Cantus Vesperi Choir, and a children's choir from Carisbrooke and Newport primary schools. It will be hosted by Radio Solent's Tim Dakin at Cowes Enterprise College at 4 p.m. on Sunday, September the 22nd. Tickets are on sale at the County Press Office in Newport.
Sailor's solo trip around Britain. An Isle of Wight sailor has become the first person to single-handedly sail a beach catamaran around Britain. Liam Tom, 48, notched up an impressive 2,587 miles on his Dart 15 catamaran, Biscuit, after setting off from Shanklin Sailing Club on June the 17th and arriving back on the island on August the 13th. Liam said, "I've done some cruising before, but I had always wanted to sail round Britain at some point. So I guess the seed was sown long ago. The Dart 15 catamaran is my boat, so it was the boat I wanted to do this in. It wasn't too unpleasant on the water, although it did get rather cold, and at one point I had up to 9 layers on. My fingers were suffering a little towards the end." Liam from St Helens was elated when he finally made the halfway point at the northernmost part of Scotland. He said, "It's quite renowned as being a really dangerous stretch of water, so I had to stay focused the whole time. When I managed to get through, I was one very happy sailor. That was my Everest. At one place, a local invited me to stay at his house for a night, and he fed me steak and let me have a bath. I met so many strangers who were so generous." When Liam returned to the island, arriving at the same sailing club he left from, his girlfriend Yvonne and family were waiting for him as he crossed the finish line. Liam said, "I was absolutely over the moon to have completed something that took 2 months to do. It was a pretty special moment."
Sepsis warning after man's toes amputated. A former pub landlord who had part of his foot amputated after developing sepsis is campaigning to raise awareness of the life-threatening condition. Philip Easton was admitted to hospital 2 weeks after scratching his right foot. His wife Barbara had called for an ambulance after becoming concerned part of his foot had turned black. 4 days before he was admitted to St Mary's Hospital, Philip, 66, of God's Hill, had attended a GP appointment. He had been prescribed antibiotics as his foot had blistered, showing signs of infection, and was warm to touch. At the hospital, Philip was diagnosed with sepsis and subsequently gas gangrene. He was airlifted to another hospital for surgery, where doctors had to amputate 2 of his toes. He later underwent further surgery to remove the remaining toes and part of his right foot because of the extent of the infection. Philip, who is registered blind, is now reliant on a wheelchair for mobility and his wife for full-time care. He has instructed specialist medical negligence lawyers at Irwin Mitchell to investigate the care he received. He is joining his legal team in using World Sepsis Day to speak out, so that more people are aware of the signs of the condition. Nicole Causey, the legal expert at Irwin Mitchell's Southampton office, representing Philip, said, "Through our work, we often see the consequences that people can be left to face because of sepsis. Awareness of the signs of sepsis and early detection are key to beating it." Irwin Mitchell said the trust had apologised for the below-standard experience Philip had. Ms. Causey said, "It is important there is not a loss of confidence in the NHS, and we welcome the trust's moves to improve patient care." Philip said, "It remains hard to take that I had to lose my foot, and it has changed my life massively. I hope my story highlights how sepsis can affect people, and why it is important that efforts to identify and tackle it continue." Today, that is Friday, is World Sepsis Day.
And that's all we have time for today, so it's goodbye from Madeline.
And goodbye from Sonara. And we're on to the second half of the County Press, And this is again Sonara.
And this is Leicester.
And letters page. No more dredging, from Roger and Jenny Crates of Freshwater. Many readers will have been horrified by the front page article in County Press 30th of August 2019 describing the effects of the dredging off Portsmouth and Southampton, whereby the dumping of silt has had a disastrous effect on the island waters. Fishermen who have fished for many years are finding stocks have fallen dramatically, and underwater photos show how conditions have changed for the worse. The statement given by the Marine Management Organisation, MMO, in answer to the concerns raised, appears to completely ignore what is happening and needs to be strongly challenged. We would like to thank every environmental organisation on our island, every tourist organisation, and most importantly the Isle of Wight Council will band together to take action. We ask Bob Seeley, who is such a good MP and who is already fighting the building pollution on our island, to take the initiative in bringing pressure to bear on the MMO to stop the dumping of any further dredged silt. Years ago, when there was dredging off the southern coast, beaches such as Compton suffered as their sand was sucked out to replace the dredged areas. What is happening now is far worse. If the pollution continues, the waters will stop supporting life. We will lose not only all the fish, but the creatures dependent on the fish, including the dolphins who bring such joy, the seals, and now the young sea eagles. We also trust the people responsible for bringing the sea eagles here will take this seriously. If the beautiful young birds, having already been uprooted from wherever they came from, are unable to find fish, they will either have to leave or turn to other sources of food. We don't want to see this happen. Many thanks to the County Press and reporter Mal Butler for having the courage to bring this to the island's attention. It's an incredibly important issue, and it is good to know that our local paper has the integrity to do this. Everyone, not only our worried fishermen, should be deeply grateful to you.
And this is from Mike Stark and Cheryl Green. Remember this, Council Award? Councillor Jeff Brodie is right to question Councillor Ian Ward's assertions over the scope of the Isle of Wight's highway maintenance in the County Press 6/09/19, when Councillor Ward said, although the plan was for all our roads to be resurfaced, this changed when government funding for the project was reduced by 30% in 2010. To help refresh the memory of Councillor Ward, who was a leading member of the Tory administration at the time, I refer him and County Press readers to an urgent, in inverted commas, Isle of Wight Council Cabinet report of May 29th, 2012, just weeks before the PFI contract was signed in August that year. The report's paragraph 8 states, the scope of the project has broadly remained unchanged since December 2009, despite the reduction in grant funding. The project team has focused on improving value for money, the consequence of which has been to achieve the same scope. To be absolutely clear, paragraph 18 adds, the project covers the island's entire adopted highways network, encompassing all forms of highway maintenance. Lest there be any further doubt, paragraph 22 adds, the project scope includes refurbishment of 818 kilometres of publicly maintained adopted road networks, which requires considerable upgrade within the 7-year core investment programme. According to Councillor Ward's latest statement, just 463 kilometres of island roads have been resurfaced as the CIP draws to a close, uncomfortably close to only 50% of the works promised in 212. Confirming this, on March the 26th, 2014, a full year into the PFI's CIP work, a member of the Council's media team gave a written assurance. Island Roads is required to maintain the entire project network, which consists of just over 800 kilometres of roads, for the duration of the 25-year project. By the end of the 7-year CIP, every road on the network needs to be at the required standard as set out in the contract. Finally, does Councillor Ward's figure of 463 kilometres of highways dealt with include roads like Chine Lane, Yafford, which has been treated and patched up at least 3 times after further severe carriageway cracking, and nearby Wicken Hill Lane, which has suffered similar post-treatment cracking, all of which remain unresolved?
Retain this roundabout, says Martin Herman of Murstone. Having used St Mary's roundabout for many years now, it is clear how well this roundabout works, especially when compared to neighbouring Coppins Bridge, where we all have to endure mindless waiting as traffic lights slow down every potential for the roundabout to do what it is meant to do. If drivers don't know what to do at a roundabout, we should be wondering what they are doing behind the wheel, rather than punishing us all with traffic lights across the island. We should be learning from what works. For example, the roundabouts in Milton Keynes, which work like a treat, versus what clearly does not work, for example, the constantly gridlock of traffic chaos due to the vast number of traffic lights in Southampton. We really do not want this new traffic light scheme proposed by the Council. The problems with traffic lights are manifold: expensive, environmentally unfriendly due to excessive engine idling, etc., as already described in the county press and elsewhere. Island residents are dismayed by this scheme and don't want these traffic lights, particularly as the roundabout functions really well as it is. While traffic lights can be useful for roadworks or in rare occasions for junctions where a roundabout may be impractical, the vast majority of traffic lights on the island are completely unnecessary, slow, and often duplicated, and their use as such is very much yesterday's technology. Traffic gridlocks will also frustrate the tourists, as they would rather be at the beach than sit in traffic jams everywhere, and is likely to encourage drivers of illegal usage of their mobiles, etc., out of sheer frustration and boredom from all the mindless waiting. We all know that time is money. What is the justification of all this time-money wastage? The delays we currently experience further up the road at Northwood, which admittedly are unavoidable, give us, however, a foretaste of the guaranteed wide-scale long-term misery that awaits us if this B&Q traffic light system is indeed going ahead. Please don't try to fix that which isn't broken. Have your vote on https://www.surveymonkey.co UK R7 caps PJCG7H before it is too late.
And this from Julian Critchley, Chair, Island Labour. Wight Link pier price hike unacceptable. Island Labour notes the announcement by Wight Link that they are intending to raise prices by up to 100% for islanders driving down Ryde Pier. Wight Link claims that this is necessary to maintain the pier, noting it has spent £2.6 million maintaining the pier in the last 9 years, or an average of some 288k per year. Wight Link's profit in 2017-18 was £13.8 million, but in the same year it paid dividends to its shareholders of £15.3 million. There's no excuse for this. It's naked exploitation of a captive market by a monopoly provider. This company makes tens of millions of pounds in profit every year. Last year alone, it paid its shareholders £15 million in dividends, to then seek to justify 100% price rises on ordinary residents of the island because of an annual maintenance cost of £288k per year is ridiculous and contemptuous of islanders. Maintaining the pier isn't a gift to islanders. It's a way in which Wight maintains its enormous profits, because without the pier, the Fast Cat wouldn't be able to take on passengers. To argue every islander should have to pay even more so this company can continue to make disproportionate profits is a bad joke. Wight and Red Funnel have exploited islanders for far too long. The next Labour government will introduce regulation to prevent them continuing to treat this island as their own corporate magic money tree. In the longer term, we'll seek to nationalise the ferry companies along with a national railway network so that our cross-Solent lifeline is run in the interests of islanders and not in the interests of the ferry company shareholders.
And now it's on to my view from Matt Chatfield. Peregrinations of a bold eagle, Culver's travels. What about Culver the sea eagle then? Originally from a nest on the Isle of Skye, this lively Scottish import has been in the headlines recently. Just a few days after being released into the wild on the Isle of Wight, the adopted islander took the path so many island youngsters do, and took off to London. Except instead of grizzling about ferries, this motivated youth simply flew there. I wish I could have done the same when I was a teenager ready to spread my wings. Culver took just 15 minutes to cross the Solent, following the route of Whitelink's Yarmouth ferry. No operational difficulties for him, before making his way towards the capital with unerring precision. So much so that through the precision of GPS technology, we know that at 2:23 p.m. on August 31st, he was directly above Big Ben at an altitude of 705 metres, or 2,300 feet. This is a long way up, but he is a very big bird, with a wingspan of some 2 metres. I wondered at the time what air traffic control must have made of him. After all, with all the security scares about drones, you can be sure they knew he was there. If somebody managed to fly a 2-metre-wide drone above the Palace of Westminster, you'd better believe the alarm would be raised. Some control room conversations would have been worth hearing that day. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, hang on, it really is a bird. Blimey! So, while the new Prime Minister and his ministers blustered away half a mile below, the eagle just flew on. He didn't pay congestion charge. He didn't file a flight path. He didn't even have a blue passport. He was the first wild sea eagle to fly over London for more than 200 years. Eventually, he alighted in Essex and took a well-earned break. The next few days, via Kent and Sussex, he made his way back to the Solent, flying as high as 1,200 metres at times. Finally, Culver arrived back on the Isle of Wight after an amazing 680 kilometres or 420-mile round trip, making landfall at the eponymous Culver Cliff. I've been gripped by this eagle reintroduction story from the start. For one thing, I love the symmetry of the Isle of Wight being the place for the first wild English sea eagles to be released, after we islanders shot the last ones on Culver Cliff in 1780. For another, I genuinely think this is an example of us being able to undo some of the damage we have done, and maybe even get some benefit ourselves by attracting eagle tourists. After all, the Scottish and Irish reinterruptions seem to have been successful, not just for the eagles, but for businesses and landowners in the areas too. I'm interested to see if we can capitalise on them in the same way, as long as they don't all fly off to London.
And now Wight Memories, and at the bottom of this article it's got the top 10 for the 12th of September 1959 in rather small print. I'll see if I can read it. Only 16 was number 1, Craig Douglas, and that's who the article is about. And number 2, a very familiar name, Living Doll, Cliff Richard. Lonely Boy, Paul Anka. Number 4 was Here Comes Summer. Difficult to read. Number 5, China Tea, Russ Conway. Lipstick on Your Collar by Connie Francis. Someone, Johnny Mathis. The Battle of New Orleans, Lonnie Donegan. In fact, he's got 2 in the top 20. And Mona Lisa by Conway Twitty. Those are some of the records in the top 20 on the 12th of September 1959. And this article by John Hannon, the most famous pop star in Britain. Exactly 16 years ago, Newport-born Craig Douglas was the most famous pop star in Britain. On September the 12th, 1959, his top-ranked single, Only 16, went to number 1 in the nation's pop charts. Suddenly, he was outselling world-famous stars like Cliff Richard, Paul Anka, Connie Francis, the Everly Brothers, Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley. It stayed there for more than a month, and he was seen on all the major television shows, and it went on to sell more than 1 million copies. There was no streaming songs in those days, just queues at record shops throughout Britain to buy the latest number 1 single. Everyone knew who was top of the charts, and in Craig's hometown of Newport, both Murdoch's and Teague's, our 2 leading record stores of the period, had a job to meet the demand. Only 16 was originally recorded by American singer Sam Cooke. Around that time, many American songs were covered by British artists. Craig's previous top 20 hit, A Teenager in Love, had been originally recorded by Dion and the Belmonts. Marty Wilde, Dickie Valentine and Craig made British cover versions of the song. In the case of Only 16, Sam Cooke's original didn't make the charts, and neither did a rival British version by Al Saxon. Following his success on his hit television series 6-5 Special, when his fan mail rivaled that of Tommy Steele, Craig had steadily built up quite a following. After 2 unsuccessful records on Decca, he was signed by the new top-ranked label, where Come Softly to Me was his first release for them and almost made the charts. A Teenager in Love made number 13 in the top 20, and then Only 16 changed his life forever. Amazingly, back in the 50s, the late movie star and director Richard Attenborough was a record reviewer for the News of the World Sunday newspaper. Just prior to the release of Only 16, he reviewed it in his column and wrote, Only 17, Douglas is best bet for stardom in 1959. The record should prove a milestone in his career. How right he was. The same year, Craig was voted Top New Singer of the Year, the equivalent of today's Brit Awards. Craig told me on one occasion it was just a dream come true. Here I was, a kid from the Isle of Wight, at number 1 in the hit parade. I would walk by building sites in London and hear guys singing or whistling Only 16. I had to get used to being recognised in the street and mobbed by fans. Suddenly he was headlining pop tours all over Britain and being signed up for television commercials like Fairy Snow, and his face was seen on millions of packets of breakfast cereals. The Roxy Girls magazine adopted him as their very own pop star. They were certainly heady days for our own Terry Perkins, one of 8 children, including 3 sets of twins born to William and Mildred Perkins. His first job after leaving Priory Boys' School was working at Bill Strickland's farm in Kelbourne. When he arrived home one day from his milk round, he found a letter addressed to him. He'd never had one before. It was to tell him the date of his appearance at a local talent contest at Newport's Medina Cinema. He was shocked as he knew nothing about it. His mother did admit she had entered him for it. Mildred was rather shrewd, and in November 1957 he won the grand final. He was spotted by a top London agent, and overnight Terry Perkins became Craig Douglas. The plan was not for instant success. He was meticulously groomed for possible stardom. Craig was quickly awarded a silver disc for Only 16, and with the record being a hit in several countries, the eventual sales were well over 1 million. Just a few weeks before Only 16 went to number 1, he'd come home to the island for 2 sell-out Sunday concerts at Commodore's Cinema in Ryde. The next time he came back to perform on the island, he was mobbed at the entrance to Ryde Pier, which stopped the traffic. Craig's manager and agent, Bunny Lewis, did upset thousands of his fans following his number 1 hit. Craig was offered a spot on Britain's top television show Sunday night at the London Palladium. Bunny turned it down because he was only offered 2 songs and he insisted on him singing 3, one of the 2 major errors his management ever made, the other being a poor follow-up record choice following his chart topper. There was certainly more successful after Only 16, and Craig went on to enjoy another 10 hit records, 3 movies, starring in summer shows, musicals and plays, comparing radio and TV shows and cabaret performances all around the world. Sadly, he was forced to retire from show business in 2010 due to ill health. There are hopes that he'll come back soon to the island to be near his family and friends. Ironically, he's lived in London since he was only 16.
And now on to local events. In North Wight, the Cowes Heritage Group will host a talk by local historian Brian Greening entitled People and Places of Our Island's Past. It will be held at Cowes Methodist Church on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Free admission, all welcome, refreshments available. The Adult Cards and Board Games Club will meet at Cowes Library on Monday, 10 a.m. to noon, a friendly social activity for adults of all ages to play cards and games such as Scrabble, drafts, Monopoly and more. All welcome, refreshments provided. Artist Bethany Moore will host a lino printing workshop at Cowes Library on Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and next Sunday, September 22nd, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Tuition, materials and refreshments are provided. £30 per person, ages 16 and over. To book, email littlebird@therhubarbtree.com or .com or call the library on 293341. And Christmas craft evenings will be held at Northwood Parish Church on Tuesdays each month for anyone interested in making festive gifts and decorations. They start on Tuesday, material wreath, and continue on October 8th, material is baubles. November 7th, button canvas creations, and on December 3rd for floral wreaths. Each class runs from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. and costs between £12 to £15. Homemade cake and refreshments are included. To book, call Pat Lambert on 526385. The Elephant Club, a free group activity designed to exercise memory muscles, meets in the garden room at All Saints Church, Gurnard, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. on Thursday. It's fun, gentle, caring, and there will be tea and biscuits. An art and craft group meets at St Mary's Church, Cowes, on Thursday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m, £1.50 per person, all welcome, with help available to learn crafts including knitting, card making and crochet. For further information, call Heather on 298851. Short mat bowls will be held at Wootton Bridge Community Centre today, that's Friday, from 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. and on Tuesday from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. And a number of friendly skill-sharing groups meet at the Beckford Centre in Cowes. There are art sessions on Monday and Thursday, 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m, local history on Monday, crafts on Tuesday, and a discussion group on Thursday, all 10 a.m. to noon. Photography every other Wednesday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m, and stitchcraft on Tuesday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. For further information, call 294-744 and leave your contact details.
And now, South Wight. Chilled Out Art and Craft Group meets fortnightly on Fridays, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Age Concern Centre, Regent Street, Shanklin. The next meeting will be held next Friday. Cost is £2 to include all art materials and a hot drink. All are welcome. For more information, call Judith Stratton on 07736 151 632. A Poppins Craft and Coffee morning will be held at Star Inn, Wroxall on Monday at 10 a.m. to noon. And there's prize bingo. This will be held at St John's Church Hall, Wroxall on Wednesday, and it's from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. The Bonchurch Social Club meets on Monday at St Wilfrid's Parish Room, Trinity Road, Ventnor at 7:30 p.m. Braiding Men in Sheds meet on Thursday 10 a.m. to noon at Braiding Youth Club. Everyone welcome to make things, learn things and drink tea. Braiding Community Choir meets on Tuesday at St Mary's Church Hall 7:15 p.m. to 8:45 p.m. Ventnor Baptist Church has a drop-in centre on Wednesday between noon and 2 p.m. Upper Ventnor Community Association will hold a bingo night at St Margaret's Hall at 7:30 on Thursday. And Wight Seated Exercise meets at Brading Methodist Church on Wednesday 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Get fit in a fun social environment, £3 per session, including refreshments. For further details, call Lucy on 07561 114 143. And Shanklin Community Library runs its Keep Calm and Carry On sewing session every Wednesday 10 a.m. to noon, and a calming colouring club on Fridays at 1:45 p.m. Braiding Community Choir meets at St Mary's Church Hall on Tuesday 7:15 p.m. to 8:45 p.m. All abilities and ages welcome. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult. No additions, just turn up and sing. A series of SOSA, solo ballroom for ladies dance fitness classes and Pilates classes run by Judith Eing will be held at the Ventnor Fitness Studio, Marlborough Road, Monday to Thursday. Monday 11 a.m. Pilates, 6:30 p.m. SOSA Dance Fitness, Tuesday 9:30 a.m. SOSA Dance Fitness, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pilates, and Wednesday 9:30 a.m. Pilates, Thursday 11 a.m. Pilates. All classes cost £6 and there's no need to book. The Pilates classes are mixed, men welcome. The Old School Cafe at Brading Youth and Community Centre is open from 10 a.m. every Monday and Friday. Enjoy a game of pool, play darts, research your family history and meet new friends. It's dog friendly. Now we move on to West Wight. The Alzheimer's Cafe, Topland, will meet on Wednesday at St Saviour's Church Hall, 2 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. A presentation will be given by Maggie Bennett about dementia services on the island. for anyone with dementia, their families, carers and professionals. A fun vocal workshop featuring professional singers Heidi Pegler and John Langley will be held on Saturday, October the 19th at Christchurch, Totland, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. The day will end with a short performance. £20 for this, with profits going to local charities. Email Pam Wedgwood, that's all one word in lowercase, and Wedge is W-E-D-G-E. Sorry, it's not, it's W-E-D-G, and then goes straight onto the wood, as in a piece of wood. App yahoo, all one word, .co.uk to book. West Wight Rotary Club will present an evening of harmony with the New Church Male Voice Choir next Tuesday, September the 24th, at Christchurch, Totland at 7:30. And there's a life drawing group that meets at the Dimbola Freshwater Bay every Monday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. A small friendly group of mixed abilities to draw from a life model. It is not a tutor-led, but help is available. Bring your own materials, and there are some boards and a few easels. A Macmillan Coffee Morning will be held next Friday, September the 20th at Freshwater Library, 10 a.m. till noon. A gentle duplicate bridge session will be held on Thursday at Freshwater Methodist Church Hall, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. and the cost is £2.50 to include tea or coffee and biscuits. For further information, call Philip on 07712 108 645. The Tea and Chat Club meets on Monday at St Saviour's Church Hall, Totland, and that's from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. There's tea, coffee and cakes. Bring a friend and join in the fun. Lifts can be arranged by calling Brian on 752 495. The monthly book chat group will meet on Wednesday at Freshwater Library from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. All welcome. The Knit and Natter or Crochet and Chatter group meets on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Freshwater Country Market will be held next Saturday, and that's September the 21st, at Freshwater Methodist Church Hall from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Cakes, preserves, plants and crafts. A free computer buddy session will be hosted by the Friends of Freshwater Library. Anyone who needs help with a computer or laptop can book a time slot by calling 752 377. Limited spaces available. And there's a tea and coffee morning. This will be held at West Wight Men in Sheds on Monday at Totland Recreation Ground, 10 a.m. to noon. And the Really Useful Cafe meets Thursdays at West Wight Sports and Community Centre, 10 a.m. to noon. Make new friends over a cuppa and enjoy fun activities. The newly refurbished hall in Gyers Road, Freshwater, behind the Hope Church, formerly United Reformed Church, is available to hire for meetings or classes. And for further information, email Eileen, that's all in lowercase, Eileen, E-I-L-E-E-N, and then straight on to 12223 at hotmail.co.uk. And finally, last of all, right down the bottom of the page, entries for West Wight local news can be emailed to Malarkey Butler, I'll spell that for you, M-A-L-A-C-H-Y Butler, that's all one word in lowercase, at outlook.com, or call 761 887.
And an impressive £3,300 was raised for the RNLI at a summer party held at the Royal Yacht Squadron Cowes. More than 100 guests enjoyed drinks on the terrace, a buffet prepared by Murray's Seafood Restaurant, and live music by The Mix. The annual fundraiser, organised by the Cows Guild Committee, included a raffle with prizes donated by local businesses. The star prize, a £200 Brittany Ferries voucher and hamper, was won by Audrey Viljoen. Music was provided by talented entertainment duo The Mix. The Guild's press secretary Linda Bird said, "It was a lovely evening and our thanks go to all who donated super prizes and sponsor Ben Rouse, which helped us raise a bumper amount." The Guild's next event will be Coffee Morning next Wednesday, September 25th at the Royal Ocean Racing Club Cowes, with a talk by Maddie Dobson on the use of colour in art, fashion and design. And moving on to Central Wight events, a talk will be given by archivist Richard Smout at Lord Louis Library at 2 p.m. on Thursday, entitled Goods and Chattels, What People Owned in Newport 1560 to 1960. Tickets cost £3 and are available at the library help point. Refreshments are available. A concert will be held at St John's Church, Newport, featuring the Cowes Concert Band on Monday at 8 p.m. Admission free, donations welcome. A harvest show will be held at St John's Church, Newport, next Saturday, September the 21st, from noon to 3 p.m. Competitions, sales, tables, light refreshments, entertainment and a raffle. Produce will be auctioned. Admission by donation to the church's 2020 Vision Project for improved community facilities. Do you love David Walliams? A celebration of all things Walliams, including games, stories, crafts and cake, will be held at Lord Louis Library, Newport, next Saturday, September 21st, 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. All ages welcome. Children under 8 must be accompanied by an adult. Come dressed as your favourite character. And then on to East Wight events. The Haylands Horticultural Society show will be held at the URC Church in Upton Road next Saturday, September 21st, from 2 p.m. Refreshments available. St Helens Historical Society will host a talk by Kevin Shaw entitled Charles I, From Carisbrooke to Chopping Block, at the St Helens Community Centre, Guildford Road, on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Members free, non-members £1. Raffle and refreshments. The Historic Ride Society will meet at Yelf's Hotel Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Margaret Rose will give a talk entitled Life in and on Guernsey in the Second World War. The East Wight Photographic Group, a friendly local club, meets at 2 p.m. at St Helens Community Centre on the third Friday of each month, except in December. New members of all abilities are welcome. For further information, visit ewpg.co.uk or email member.ewpg@gmail.com. Holy Cross Church, Binstead, opens for tea every Sunday afternoon from 2:30 to 5 p.m. Enjoy homemade cakes in a peaceful and picturesque churchyard setting. Seaview Fun Choir meets every Thursday from 3:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. in the Undercroft at St Peter's Church. Sessions cost £2 to cover the cost of refreshments. For more information, call Wendy on 716120 or 07413 028326. Ride Recorded Music Society will meet at Ride Methodist Church, Garfield Road at 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday. Yoga classes are held at Ride Chiropractic Clinic at 7:15 a.m., 6 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. on Mondays and at 6:30 p.m. on Wednesdays. For further information, call Nikki on 07799 032824. A chess club meets on Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. at Bembridge Village Hall, £2 per evening. Tea, coffee and biscuits available. All welcome. For more information, see the Isle of Wight Chess Facebook page or email chessplay@mail.com. A Citizens Advice Isle of Wight and Ride Aspire drop-in session will be held at Aspire Ride on Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Advisors will be on hand to offer information and advice. All welcome. Circuit training takes place on Mondays and Thursdays at Nettlestone Primary School between 6:30 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. £5 per class. All fitness levels welcome for anyone aged 16 and over. Bembridge Community Library holds knitting and colouring sessions every Friday afternoon. Bring your own knitting or just come along for company and a chat. Sessions cost £3, including refreshments. And the Rainbow Wight Singers meet on Wednesdays at All Saints Church Hall in Ryde from 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. The sessions are informal and there are no auditions. £3 per session, including refreshments. For more information, call Ada Coleman on 868546.
And now we move on to some information about events and forthcoming events and entertainment on the island. And on Saturday, September the 21st, at St Saviour's Church, Shanklin, at 7:45, the Phoenix Choir, and admission is free, and there'll be a retiring collection in aid of St Saviour's new sound system. And church is set for Ride and Stride. The Isle of Wight is gearing up for the annual Ride and Stride event, where people are encouraged to visit churches by bicycle, scooter, or even canoe. More than 40 island churches will be open to the public on September the 26th, of which will be offering refreshments to visitors. Organised by Hampshire and Isle of Wight Historic Churches Trust, Ride and Stride offers a rare opportunity to visit a range of churches. The Trust raises funds for grants and loans towards the upkeep of 900 church buildings. Last year's Ride and Stride raised a record £65,000 for essential church repairs, renovation and restoration, preserving them for future generations. Coordinator Geoffrey Wart said, "Ride and Stride is a fun day out, giving visitors a chance to see inside lots of beautiful historic churches, which are often shut. To find a sponsorship form with options to visit participating churches by foot, bicycle, scooter, canoe, tandem, pogo stick, pushchair, rollerblade or car, visit," and I'll read this out, HIHCT, that's all in lowercase, .org.uk. And right, well, we've come to the end now, so I hope you all have a very good day. Goodbye from Leicester.
And goodbye from Sonara.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Good evening. The phrase access to opera usually refers to bringing opera to a wider audience, not just what's seen as the opera-loving few. But on tonight's In Touch, it signifies something different. We'll meet two visually impaired musicians who've travelled thousands of miles to further their careers. In a moment, the woman who came from New Zealand initially as a violinist before the opera bug bit.
I never imagined it could be anything serious. I never dreamed that actually I had professional vocal potential at all. I was very focused on the violin. So I went and saw the head of vocal studies and said, "Please, could I do singing as a second study?" And she said, "Absolutely, of course you can."
But first, on the line from London is Alan Pingarron. I hope I pronounced that right, Alan.
Yes, no, that's right.
Good. Welcome to In Touch. Your singing talents are pretty well known in Mexico. You've won a lot of prizes and awards. What brings you to the UK?
My coming is because I came to study with the Royal Opera House teachers, and because I am now in that place, link artist of Jutta Parker.
Right. And these masterclasses are for young, up-and-coming opera singers, but you've up and come, haven't you? You're pretty well established already.
Yes.
What will you learn from these?
How can you sing with relax, with your body relaxing, and other things? This emotional connection with the characters and with the music, not just singing the notes.
How did you get into music?
I heard my father. My father has a good voice, and my dad plays the guitar. So when I was young, I heard him to play some things in guitar, and I heard him listen one of the most popular and famous singers in Mexico, Jose. That voice and my father's voice was for me really impressive. So that's the reason I try to imitate the sounds, and then I begin with experiments of music.
So why did you choose opera, or did opera choose you?
Well, because it's really funny. When Andrea Bocelli's recorder arrived in Mexico, many people showed to me that recordings. So
because Andrea Bocelli, of course, is a famous blind singer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. In that moment, I didn't want to hear any more about that music. And 5 years after, I heard Luciano Pavarotti's voice, and when I heard Nessun Dorma, one of the most famous arias of Luciano Pavarotti that he performs a lot, I love it. The voice, I love the aria, I love music. At the same time, when I studied my first singing classes and my first writing and reading classes of music on Braille.
I mean, just explain about your blindness. Are you totally blind?
Yes, I am totally blind.
And did you foresee any problems connected with that to following a musical career?
I think the problems were more at school, but especially with teachers of movement, with movement teachers.
And what was the problem with the movement? Was it that they didn't know how to teach you, or that you were finding it difficult?
I think that the problem they found difficult, especially one of them, because after that I found another teacher, and he said, "Okay, your problem is just your sight. The most difficult thing for us, but not for the movement, I think is for the different gestures that we don't know." By the way, this morning I had an important movement class, drama class. We did a piece of opera, what's called Tombe degli Avi Miei, from Donizetti's Lucia. My teachers spoke about the character of Edgardo. I imagine when I tried to say Lucia, no, please don't go. We try to with physical things develop the imagination. The
program you're on, what opportunities do you think this will give you in your profession?
For example, one of the important opportunities is to prepare different characters and prepare different roles, and then have different master classes with different famous important singers. For example, in this case, at Royal Opera House, last week. We have class with Juan Diego Flores, then yesterday with Joyce Di Donato. I didn't sing with Joyce Di Donato, but I heard her class, and we can hear our colleagues to do many things about the roles, the different roles.
Well, Alan Pingaron, it's great to meet you and have you on the programme. And you're very welcome to stay and hear our next story, if that's okay.
Thank you very much.
This lady has travelled even further than you, not only to develop her own career, but also to encourage other disabled performers to do the same. She's been telling her story to our reporter, Toby Davey.
Hello, I am Joanne Roughton-Arnold. I am an opera singer. I'm the co-founder of Formidability, but originally I came here from New Zealand to pursue a career as a violinist.
You bust your way around New Zealand to afford the funds to come over here, and you came here as a violinist to study. What made you want to take up singing and become an opera singer?
I've always been fascinated by language, and when I was doing my postgraduate violin studies at Trinity College of Music in London, there was the option to take a second study. So, and there's something in me had been wanting to sing, but I never imagined it could be anything serious. I never dreamed that actually I had professional vocal potential at all. I was very focused on the violin. So I went and saw the head of vocal studies and said, please could I do singing as a second study? And she said, absolutely, of course you can. So she sent me to a wonderful, wonderful singing teacher called Esther Salomon. And when I came out of it, I thought, well, I really love this singing, but I don't know if I love it because there are no strings attached. No pun intended. So I did a concert where I sang and I played. So it was a lunchtime recital, and I played the Debussy Violin Sonata, and I sang some songs by Fauré in the middle, and then I played some chansons on the violin at the end. And after the concert I thought, no, it is singing. It really is, because you've got the text, you're telling a story, you can have this really direct communication with your audience. So that's what made me think, no, this is the right path for me.
Den Wein, den man mit Augen trinkt, gießt nachts der Mond im Wogen nieder.
Back in New Zealand, what sort of support and facilities were on offer for you as a visually impaired musician? And did it differ from the sort of support that you've got here?
I didn't really get a lot of support in New Zealand, which sounds terrible, and I don't mean it in a terrible way at all. The attitude that my parents really instilled in me was, never mind, you can't see so well, so have a good life anyway, get on with it. and just find ways to do what you want to do. So I just used to manage as best I could. As a violinist, it was always challenging in orchestras because you have to share a music stand, and I couldn't get close enough to be able to read both pages of the music. So I could see the page nearer me, but the other one was always out of focus. But to answer your question about the support, I'd been over here for a little while, and I was just out of, I forgot, boredom one day, I can't remember, I Googled nystagmus, which is the condition I have. And lo and behold, I found the UK Nystagmus Network, and suddenly there was all this information that I hadn't had before. So much more than I was ever told by eye consultants and so on in New Zealand. And suddenly a lot of things fell into place about what I found difficult and why I found it difficult.
As a visually impaired person, how accessible is, the career of a singer performing on stage? Because some people might say, well, it's not the most easiest of environments for somebody visually impaired to get around and know where they are on stage, and also react as a singer to the conductor and everything else.
There are ways around it. It depends on how severe visual impairment is. So in my case, I'm partially sighted. Everything is out of focus unless it's very close. I don't have depth perception, and I struggle with bright lights, which would make you think a stage probably isn't the most friendly, welcoming environment. But what I've done, I've dealt with the lights, because thanks to the fabulous contact lens department at Moorfield Eye Hospital, they've issued me with piggyback lenses. So I wear one lens at each eye that has a really deep green tint to it to cut out the glare. And then I wear my prescription lens on top of that and a rigid one. The issue with depth perception, so as you can imagine, stages can have different levels and you can find yourself dealing with steps and uneven surfaces and all sorts. So I just always make sure I get on the stage and I walk around the set and let myself develop the muscle memory for how deep each step is, where is there a handrail. Seeing the conductor, in rehearsals you're closer to them so that you build up a relationship. You're physically closer to the conductor than you are when you actually get on the stage and they're down on the pit. And for them to understand what works for you and where they might need to give you a bigger gesture for you to catch it.
In den abgezerrten Händen hältst du deines Songs
I had kind of conflicting advice about how to cope as a visually impaired singer. And the advice I was given was to audition, and in my case, my visual impairment is not obvious to people who don't know me. So I can walk into an audition room and perform and they have no idea that I'm partially sighted. But because of being worried about safety issues on stage, I think it's kind of a good idea to mention to a company that I've got a visual impairment. And I followed the advice, and the reaction I usually got was embarrassment and no work. So I stopped saying anything. And then I thought, I've got to go the other way. So I kept really quiet about it and I began to get work. And I had my first contract was with Opera Holland Park. I spent 4 seasons not saying anything about being visually impaired, except for some very close friends in the chorus who could just give me a little bit of help if I needed it. And then along came the Paralympics in 2012 and it just felt like things were changing. I forget exactly how soon after that, but RNIB were running a workshop for visually impaired children in conjunction with Opera Holland Park. And the RNIB said they'd love me to be involved in that workshop, but they realised that Opera Holland Park didn't know that I was visually impaired. So I might need to say something, and they wanted to make me sure I was comfortable. And I decided, right, it's time to say it. There I was in my 4th year working for them, 4th summer, and I said, so I've been talking to James at RNIB, and they'd really like me to be involved in this workshop. Oh yes. And I said, because I've been a client of them for quite a while. And then you could almost hear the jaw fall on the floor. and I explained that I hadn't said anything because I had this experience of people making 2 and 2 make 5. But they were absolutely wonderful about it and immediately got me involved in the workshop. And the following year I led the equivalent workshop. So it was just really nice to actually be able to be open.
You've just co-founded Formidability,
Yes.
which is all about both access on stage and off stage for performers and audience alike. What made you want to form the company?
I felt that opera could reach so many more people if the people that you see on stage better reflect the reality of the diversity of our audiences. And, I read somewhere that I think 20% of the UK population has a disability, but you don't see anything like that number on stage. And I don't know if you even see that number in the audience. So I thought, well, let's find a way to make it possible for disabled artists to work on stage, but we're not about exclusivity. We're about bringing people together. So Formidability is a healthy mix of both disabled and non-disabled artists working together because the most important thing to us is to create really, really high quality art and to make the production the most important thing. It just happens to be that a healthy proportion of us are disabled.
What's the future for Formidability and for yourself as an opera singer? How do you see the future going?
Well, I really hope that from this, Formidability can slowly grow. We're going to take it bit by bit, incrementally. I'd love to be able to commission new music, work with companies like Sign Dance Collective and Rationale Method more, continue the sort of partnership. And I think that accessibility doesn't need to be boring. It can be really exciting and beautiful. And so something that enhances the performance for the whole audience, whether you're disabled or not. So yeah, I think this has got wings.
That's Joanne Rawton-Arnold singing part of Schoenberg's Piero Lunaire, ending Toby Davies' report. Now, after our 2 programmes about visually impaired people losing and then regaining control over their lives, we asked for your reactions and experiences. David Bates was concerned for those who, like him, lost their sight after a lifetime of seeing. He says, quite apart from the trauma involved, this can completely overwhelm some people and present others with a very steep learning curve in order to try to change their long-established lifestyle methods and communication skills, often with minimum help from any experts. Even the people who cope successfully with these problems will still then become what David calls in-betweeners, who are neither sighted nor proper blind, who therefore may feel they've lost their identity and don't belong to either group. Terry James is keen to find solutions. She works as a freelance trainer. Terry says, it's my belief that when someone's registered sight impaired or severely sight impaired, part of the rehabilitation they receive should be training in how to practice assertive behaviour so that they can learn how to express their needs clearly and ask for help where necessary to live as full and rich a life as possible. And Sean Randall also thinks coping with loss of control can be taught. Blind himself, he says a large part of his appeal to the visually impaired students he teaches is confessing when he's messed things up. He said, seeing a blind adult in a powerless situation is something I very much encourage when working with a student, especially a student without good IT skills themselves. My seeming infallibility isn't always to the good and far from the real situation. And that's it for today, except to say Alan Pingaron from Mexico is still with us. And Alan, can I persuade the voice of Mexico to be the voice of In Touch and provide us with a singing finale? Would you
Yes, of course. I will sing for Mexican composer a special song, what's called El Día Que Me Quieras.
OK, thank you. From me, Peter Wight, producer Lee Kumitat, goodbye.
El día que me quieras tendrá más luz que junio. La noche que me quieras será de plenilunio. Con notas de Beethoven vibrando en cada rayo sus inefables cosas, y habrá juntas más rosas que en todo el mes de mayo.
The scaffolding news for Friday 13th of September. In the Cowes area, current scaffolds are from Cameos, Bath Road, Cowes, at Princess Buildings in Bath Road, Cowes, at Regency House 42 High Street, Cowes, Paradise 56 and 56B in High Street, Cowes. And current skips are at 42 Newbourne Road, East Cowes, and there is current hoarding at Northwood Primary School, Wyatt's Lane, Northwood.
In the Newport area, there are current scaffolds at Age UK 114A Pyle Street, Newport, 113 Pyle Street, Newport, Trespass 44 High Street, Newport, 34 C Street, Newport, and 109 Carisbrook Road, Newport. Pending scaffolds at 4 St James Street, Newport. Current cherry picker at Shate Corner Cottage, Main Road, Chillerton. And current skip at 97 Gunville Road, Newport.
In the Ryde area, there are current scaffolds at 35 to 36 High Street, Ryde, flats 31 to 36 of Marymead Close in Ryde, Boots 170 High Street, Ryde, 41A and 41B Osborne Road in Ryde. Oliver Restaurant, 32 to 33 in Union Street, Ryde. Liz Earle, Union Street, Ryde. 6 to 7 Union Street, Ryde. 6 Anglesey Street, Ryde. 138 to 139 High Street, Ryde. Pending scaffolds, 9 High Street, Brading. 79 Park Road, the scaffold is in Player Street. And pending cherry picker, 10 Pell Lane, Ryde. Current skips are at 13 Surrey Street in Ryde and 28 Marlborough Road, Ryde. Pending skips, 42 Foreland Road, Bembridge, and 14 Ray Street, Ryde.
In the Sandown and Shanklin area, current scaffolds at 23 High Street, Shanklin, 42 Fitzroy Street, Sandown, 10 Melville Street, Sandown. Pending scaffolds at Sandown Saver Centre, Albert Road, Sandown. Pending cherry picker, junction of Town Lane and York Road, Sandown. Current hoardings, Premier Inn 1 to 9 Esplanade, Sandown. Current mobile crane, Premier Inn 1 to 9 Esplanade, Sandown. Current skips, 44 Moorview, God's Hill, Shanklin Towers, Prospect Road, Shanklin.
In the Ventnor area, current scaffolds are at the corner of Trinity Road and Madeira Road in Ventnor, 1 Boniface Road and into Trinity Road, Ventnor. Current skips at 16 South Street, Ventnor, and a pending cherry picker at the junction of Zigzag Road and Ocean View Road, Ventnor. And in the West Wight area, there are current scaffolds at Hurst's 9 School Green Road, Freshwater, and Oak Cottage, Farriers Lane, Shorewell.
Vehicle crossings under construction at Marvel Lodge, Marvel Lane, Newport, 13 Ashy Road, Ryde, 10 Palmer's Road, Wootton, 18 Donington Drive, Shanklin, Old School Place, Cockleton Lane, Gurnard, 12 Cooper Road, Newport, 27 Albert Road, Shanklin, 56 Lower Furlongs, Brading, 4 Swanage Terrace, Moons Hill, Totland, 4 The Fairway Lake, and Brickfields Cottage, Newnham Road, Ryde.